What's up, bitch? That's not
Yep.
for you, Cor. I wouldn't call you that. You're a lovely human being. But what's
Thanks.
up, bitches in the audience? No, I love all you two.
Was
I'm
that
just
for me?
fucking around. You're not in the audience, so no. But no, I call everybody bitch out of endearment, man. So I do. Yes, I do call you a bitch, bitch.
I
What's
take
going
it
on,
as a
dog?
compliment. Chilling, bro. I was in fucking Miami last week, or Fort Lauderdale, but we drove down to Miami.
Yeah, you look a little tan right now.
Yeah, man. I wish I could have this color permanently. I
Y-
mean, I
Yeah.
feel bad. I'm like, it's like totally different from you right now.
Yeah, no, that's funny that you say that too, because so I played golf earlier today, and when I was out there, I was like, should I just say fuck it? Because I already did it once this year where I said fuck it, and I didn't put on sunscreen, and I went out in the sun. And,
hmm
like, I got a little bit burned, but not crazy burned, but I was like, that may have been a bad idea. So now every time I go golfing, I'm like, should I or should I not? And I
Yeah.
decided today, I like, doubled down on the pale side. Like, I wore a hat, and on top of the hat, I wore sunscreen.
Really?
Yeah, so I like doubled down on the uber paleness, and then also the way the lighting is right now. You know, you see me paler than I actually might look, but it's true. You're definitely way darker than me. Were you on the beach a lot?
I went to the beach. We went on like some weary dude's boat who fucking G'd us, man.
What
Like,
happened?
so, well, first off, I was like, so we're just chilling. I went with my fiance and like all of her cousins. It was like 15 of us.
Uh-huh.
So her sister lives down in Miami, and her friend was at her house, and like we wanted to do something the next day, jet skiing, go on a boat or some shit. So we're like, yo, like, do you know anybody? So her friend was like, yeah, my friend has a boat. So automatically, when I hear your friend has a boat, it's like, okay, your friend has a boat. We'll just go out on his boat. It'll be some like regular shit. So then she was like, yeah, let me find out some more details. She was like, all right, he says $20 a person.
The fuck?
So
Just charging you just to get on the boat?
yeah, so I was like, whatever, $20 a person. I don't okay. Then she came back and was like, yeah, yeah. She found out it was 15 people. He was like, yeah, it's gonna be $35 a person.
What the fuck? You got
Yeah,
G'd up hard. Wait, was this person who set it up part of your group or no?
no, he was like this girl's friend, but nobody knew him and nobody questioned the $35. So long
So
story short,
he was really just some dude who was G'ing her from the beginning.
yeah, just G'ing us up. So like just quickly, we go to the fucking gas station. He's got like some small ass boat, right? And I'm like, yo, we just gave you $35 each. Like, how much? How many gallons is that boat? He was like, oh, 60 gallon boat.
60
Should take
gallon boat?
60 gallon. I was like, no, it's not.
You
So
mean
he puts
feet? You
gas.
talking about feet?
No, gallons, like the gas tank, like a
Oh,
60 gallon.
okay. I see. I'm not on my boat shit, so I got no clue what the fuck you're
Neither
talking
was I,
about.
but I knew I was with someone also who was like, bro, my grandparents have a boat. It's smaller than that shit. It's like 20-gallon tank. Like, so he goes inside, puts $50 in the gas tank. Meanwhile, he got like $525 from us. So like my inner New Yorker, I went up to him and he was like some Cuban dude. Later found out he had a gun on the boat.
Oh shit.
Yeah, on some shit. And I was just like, yo, what are you doing? Like, he was like, oh, we're good, we're good. We buy some donuts and we go on the boat. Like, we go out. So I just gave it up. We gave this dude fucking 500 something dollars to go out on a boat for fucking like 2 hours. Got G'd up hard.
Wow. What else did you do while you were there? Because that sounds like a terrible experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. We went to a Marlins game, chilled, saw my grandma. Shit was cool out there. But like,
I
don't go out with like annoying ass people that'll be like, oh my God, you're so tan. Like, does that hurt? Does it hurt? And then they like touch your back and shit.
Who did that?
Everybody I
That
was
sounds
with.
like some. That sounds like some shit. Well, it depends. If there's a female that does that to you, that sounds like they're hitting on you a little bit. Like, oh, you look tan. Can I touch you?
Yeah, but there's a point where someone can tell you you're tan, and like my tan wasn't bad, but every single person was like, "Oh, you're red. Oh,
Oh,
ooh."
were you actually red? Did you actually burn? Or you probably did, right?
I was red, but I
Because
wasn't burnt. Or
aren't
it
you
was
paler?
bothering me.
Naturally, you're paler than me, right?
Yeah, I'm pale as fuck,
Wow.
but I tan well, which is
Mm.
which is good.
When I was a kid, I used to tan. I'm half Italian, and that's
Mhm.
like the most of one thing that I am. The rest is like a mix of stuff. But so when I was younger and I go out in the sun, I would just immediately get tan. I would never get burned. It would just go right to
Mhm.
tan. Like my skin would just get super dark. But then as I got older, I started getting, there was like a transition period where I'd get red before I got tan, and then
Mhm.
now it's probably like my burn is would last longer now than it ever did before. And that might have to do with the fact that when I was younger, I had like pretty shitty acne. So I took Accutane, and that like shrinks your oil glands. And maybe that had something to do with it, where like now every time I go out in the sun, there's always like a period where I get red before I get tan. And
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, then I always regret it afterwards.
It's always those good-looking ass people that do like the fucking Proactive and all that shit, like the Jessica Biels and all that shit.
Yo, I'm sort of convinced that like, because I use Proactive for a little bit. Like, I'm sure it might work a little bit, and I'm sure it might help a certain percentage of the people. But I think a lot of the over-the-counter shit is probably bullshit.
Yeah.
Because they do like one study and they're like, oh, benzoyl peroxide or whatever the fuck it's called. It's like, oh yeah, this really works. This is good. And then most people that take it, all of them end up saying like, my fucking face like peeled off when I put it on. Has that,
Yeah, and if you use that shit every
you?
day, I mean, I used it, but like I feel like you get like immune to the shit if you're just using it every day.
Yeah, my friend
and your
used
pores
it.
never have time to come out.
My friend
you know?
used it. It didn't do Dickie McGee's axe for him. Like, his shit was just horrible and continued to be horrible. And then he ended up going on Accutane, and it finally worked when he got on Accutane. But when he was just using Proactive, they also used to give me, before I went on Accutane, they gave me this shit called Retin-A Micro. You ever heard of that? Oh
No,
my
that shit
god,
sounds intense.
it's like, it's this cream stuff that you're supposed to like dot on to wherever you have acne. Wherever you would dot it, it would just burn a fucking hole in your face. You're like, oh my god, what happened here? This doesn't make any sense. And then they put me on, and this, looking back at this, like, I'm pissed off that they put me on this, but some shit, I don't know if it was called doxycycline or something, like, it's like an antibiotic that helps some people with acne, but I was on a fucking antibiotic for like a year. And then obviously as you get older, you look, you start reading about it, you realize you're not supposed to be on antibiotics that long. Because then,
I think
like,
I took like tetracycline was like an antibiotic.
Okay, I think I might have been on doxycycline and tetracycline, both of them. Seriously, those are antibiotics. At different times I was on it, and you're not really supposed to do that, like, because then then they don't work as well later on when you really need them for some serious shit when you're sick, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's like creepy that I feel like they don't
Doctors
know.
could just give whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, and I believe in modern medicine. That's one of the main themes of my show is like, the scientists are right, shut the fuck up. They know what they're talking about, you don't. But like, you get the sense that some of them are just going by the book, and the book is not totally accurate, Like it's like, oh, you have this, let me give you this. Well, that shit doesn't really work all that well because that study was sort of questionable. It was funded by the pharmaceutical companies that want to make money off the shit. Like, it could get creepy there.
Yeah.
Son, 9,000 things I want to talk about because we haven't spoken in a while.
Yeah, there's a lot.
First of all, just real quick, I need your stamp of approval on this. I think you may have already agreed with me on this in the past, but I don't remember. I think thin crust pizza is bullshit.
What do you mean? Like doesn't taste good?
No, I didn't get stamp agreement. I'm already kind of pissed off. Okay, so thin crust pizza, like
okay. I hate thin crust pizza. Not like New York pizza though. Like you wouldn't consider.
Okay, so perfect example.
Because I got a different perspective now. Because I have deep dish pizza.
Have you ever had Roma's pizza?
No. But I know like real Italian pizza is like that thin ass pizza, right?
No, see, that's the thing. It depends on what pizzeria you go to. But like, okay, so name me a pizza place that you and I have both eaten at, and I'll tell you where that falls in the thin to thick scale. Like Deanna's, for example. That's like in the middle. That's like in the middle. Okay. If it's
or
thinner,
like Amore?
Amore's thin. That's thin pizza.
Really?
Yeah. So you fucks with it? Oh, you like it? Oh,
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Let me lay out my case.
I don't like the fucking like matzo type of pizza, like super thin that like crunches.
Yeah, well, I mean, Amore's bordering on that shit, I think. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't eat it and like I'm pissed off at it. Well, I am kind of saying that. I'm saying I'm pissed off at it, not saying I wouldn't eat it. I mean, if I'm hungry and that shit is there, I'm gonna fucking eat it. But
you'd eat fucking dog food if you were hungry.
But like, all right, so the kind of pizza that I like that, like by a mile and a half, it's not even close. If I had to pick, I'm gonna pick it every single time. I like thicker pizza, not necessarily like what you were talking about, Chicago deep dish.
Yeah,
although I like that too. But like the thickness of Dominos. I think.
Okay. I mean, that gets pretty thick.
Exactly. But that's to me that's mwah. I want it to be just like the same thing with like my mom's side of the family. They're all Italian, and they love Italian bread, and like Italian bread from a real Italian bakery. Because it's like it's almost like stale by design. Like the crust is like really thick, and then it's not necessarily like soft and warm in the middle. Whereas like French bread, I prefer French bread to Italian bread because it's just soft and like fluffy all around.
Yeah, it's more bready. It's more dough. Yeah.
Whereas the Italian bread, I'm almost thinking like isn't this shit like a week too old? Like it's a little too firm. I just don't like it as much. So it's the same kind of thing, I guess you could say, with the thin versus more thicker doughy pizza. That's another thing. If it's the more doughy it is, the better. Like if I have a choice, if somebody were to tell me, okay, you're gonna have a sliced pizza, here are your two options. We're gonna slightly overcook it or slightly undercook it. I'm gonna say slightly undercook it. I'm never going slightly overcook.
Really?
Yeah, you're not with me on this, dog. I was surprised.
I don't know. See that I'm like opposite because I would want it more overcooked because I just like I don't know. That's a hard one, but I would probably want it overcooked, but I like shit breadier also.
So a little more softer.
Yeah,
like
but I don't want pizza undercooked. I don't want to be chewing on like Play-Doh and shit though. You know.
I know you like Domino's as much as I like Domino's.
Oh,
I know
fucking
that.
house Domino's.
Yeah, but you like a More style thinner pizza more than I do.
Yeah, Domino's don't get me wrong, is amazing, but like theirs is a little thick.
See, that to you, that's a little on the thick side, and that's like an extreme. To me, when I'm thinking of ideal, I'm thinking of not even necessarily like, hey, Domino's is ideal. I mean, it's obviously a cheaper, chain restaurant, whatever. But if there's a pizzeria that has pizza that's the similar thickness to Domino's, I prefer that. Like, I'll give you a good example. Everybody listening obviously doesn't know these places unless they're from the area, but Sal's Sicilian.
Yeah.
To me, that's just like, okay, you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's a little thicker. Yeah. It's hot. It's
but
fluffy.
Sicilian's supposed to be a little thicker.
That's true, but I'm just saying in general, that's the thickness of any kind of pizza that I would prefer. Whereas if it's thinner, I'm a little bit like, I'm kind of at the fuck you phase. Like I'm obviously, like I said, I'll eat it if nothing else is around and somebody ordered it, and I'm not gonna be a prick. Like, the crust isn't right. But like in my head, I'm gonna be like, fuck this. Like I know.
But I'm gonna take this shit a little deeper.
Go for it.
I think this is how we both think on our women, though. Am I wrong?
No, you're
you're
right.
always one to like be like,
I need a girl with a thick ass, son.
Exactly. I would be like, yo, that, and then you'd be like, I'd even go bigger than that, and I'm like, no, seriously? You're like,
how many times? How many times have we had that conversation? Me and you've had that conversation like 600 times, where you'll see a girl be like, that. I'm like, yeah, but I'd go a little bigger. Like your max is a lot lower than my max.
Yeah.
And my max might make some normal ass people be like, really?
Your max is. I think I brought it one time. I saw something and I was just like throwing it out there as almost like a semi joke, and I was like, that. And then you might even hit me with some shit like looking at me like you thought I was joking, and then hit me with like a, yeah, I would though.
Yo, I'm a legend in the business of and like I out big ass like rappers. Like there's a rapper who's rapping about I like thick chicks. I'm like, do you really? I can show you some thick chicks.
Yeah. Because I've seen some too that I've been like, yo, that's right, and you'd be like, it's a little too little for me. Well,
yeah, I mean, obviously my ideal is a little bigger than your ideal, but there is like a sweet spot there where you, me, and pretty much every guy I know is like
you
I
just
like
agree
that.
on it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I mean, it's clear that I'm one of those guys who I would say no to like a supermodel style body on a woman.
Rail thin, yeah.
Yeah, like I look at that and I'm like, no. Like there are guys who've said stuff to me like when describing a girl that they've been with or hooked up with or whatever, and they've said stuff like, "Oh man, you had to see it. Legs went on for days." And I'm like, what is that? Like I think of pencils when you say that. Number one. Yeah. Number two, it's like, I had legs that went on for days when I was a 14-year-old boy and I weighed 140 pounds and I was like, at that time, probably still 5'10", You know, it's like,
Yeah.
were you looking at me that way? Like, that's what I think of. Like, I like the polar opposite of the awkwardness that we were when we were growing up as skinny as or health and little boys.
Yeah.
Like, curves are absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hear that. Like, bro, legs went on for days. I'll just be like, okay, when did her ass start?
Yeah,
Like,
was she like 7 feet tall? Because that's a little weird. Like, what do you mean by that? They went on for
she in the
days.
WNBA?
All right, so I'm gonna check you down for like a 50% agreement with me on that, but 50% disagreement because you definitely.
I'll go over 50 because I like it fluffier. I would go like 67.
Okay. Yeah, I know, because I know how much you like Domino's. Like I like Domino's. Like
Yeah.
See, Corin, I'm gonna blow your mind right now, man. There are people who look at Domino's pizza and they're like, no, way too thick. Like I know
Nah,
people who are like, I
it's
just
not
don't,
way too
I
thick.
just don't like it. Like they'll say, I just flat out don't like it. In fact, I got into a little Twitter back and forth. Not really a back and forth. I just chimed into somebody else's conversation. One of the guys at TYT was like ripping on another guy at TYT who was like, I'm getting Domino's. And one of the guys was like, Domino's is for like college kids or high school kids. And I was like, well, then I'm proudly a high school kid or a college kid.
That's what I don't
that
get
shit
is
is
like-
delicious.
Yeah, like you could buy the most expensive pizza, but if you just take it to the core and just buy some Domino's, that shit tastes mad good.
Yeah, it's
and
gonna-
like
it-
anyone
yeah.
who doesn't say it's not good is just like lying.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people that have like taste buds that just totally differ from ours, but I do find it weird when people don't find. Like, I get it if it's not your ideal. Like, if it's not your ideal, I get it. Like, I hear you. I disagree with you, but I hear you. But I don't know if there are there really people out there who just actively would say like I wouldn't eat it. Like, even I, as much as I don't like thin crust pizza, if I have no choice, I will eat it. Like I said before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
All
like,
right.
but like, if there's a burger that's really, really expensive, really good, yeah, that might be a really good burger. But you sort of,
Yeah, it doesn't mean a McDouble doesn't hit the spot every once in a while.
that's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
can't deny the fact that a Big Mac with some special sauce on it isn't fucking slamming.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the McDonald's secret menu?
No, but you told me about that shit though.
Son, there's a secret menu.
Oh, I actually was reading it a little bit. It's on some like,
First you didn't hear it, then you're like, actually, I read the whole thing. Nah, I'm forgetting like the ones that
it was
caught
like
my
chicken. It was like chicken tenders on a burger or some shit.
eye. There's some shit that I never thought of, but it's semi-genius. Like they were talking about how, I don't know if I think it's you take a McDouble and put like a McChicken in between the McDouble.
Oh.
And there was like two other ones that I was like, oh my god, I like that one. But some of them were sort of like,
But we've been making our own fucking special menu since '88, though.
That's true.
Like we've been doing that shit before that article
Remember
even
the
came out.
fajita? Remember the fajita?
What
They had a
fajita?
fajita on the dollar menu for a minute.
Oh, I remember that. My
Yeah,
dad
you-
used to crush it all the time.
Yeah, Bobby introduced me to that. Bobby was like, "Yo, I got to tell you something." He came up to me like it was some drug shit. Like, yo, McDonald's got that fajita. You might want to get that shit. Shit is underrated. It's super delicious. And I had it.
You're
I'm
like, yo,
he's kinda right.
yo. Keep that shit low. Keep that shit low.
Like nobody knew about it. And when you ordered it, the people would be like, "Huh?" I said the fajita. You got it. Just look on the shit. And they're like, "Oh, okay, all right. I didn't even know about that." Giving you meat from like 1986, but it still tastes
Yes,
delicious for some reason.
seriously.
All right, son. Next thing. All right, so I got your quick agreement on that. Another one, I need your quick agreement on this one. Password rules. Like, you know how every single thing, whether it's your email account, your Apple account, your fucking Twitter account, Facebook account, this account, that account, like in the modern world, you need to have at least like 8 things that you have to log into in order to be
Yeah.
like a normal human being. And a lot of them, first of all, they tell you never put the same password for each shit.
Always put the same password.
I mean, like if somebody actually is a stickler for the rules and like, yeah, I'm going to change it because they tell me I should change it in the terms and conditions on page 37. Like, okay, fucking weirdo. First of all, most people do try to do that shit. But the thing that pisses me off even more is when you come up with some shit that's like really long, it's got a bunch of numbers. You're like, this shit is gonna be accepted because this shit is good money. But then when you click enter and they're like, you need a symbol. Have you ever had that happen to you? Where you put
Hell
in-
yeah.
and
You
sometimes
need a
they'll be
symbol and a fucking like
like in uppercase shit,
number,
like it's case
uppercase-
sensitive.
yeah.
Yeah, like you need at least one uppercase shit, and you need at least one like pound sign or fucking asterisk. And I'm like, how the fuck do you think I'm gonna remember this shit? You know how
Well,
many times
one-
I've had to change my Apple shit? I had to redo my Apple shit virtually every time I ever signed into my Apple shit. Because I don't.
It should be on us though. Like it should be like, yo, if I want to get my shit stolen, that's on me. Let me make my password fucking.
My shit stolen. Nah,
Let me make my password.
I'm gonna one up that, man. They should just come up with some shit that can protect it even more than it's already protected. Like, I get why they're doing it. I mean, I don't know much about hackers and how they function, but I'm sure they got some shit where they can crack into some shit super fucking quick. So there's a reason why they're asking you to go that deep with it. Well, there's got to be an easier way than just having me remember 36 different fucking passwords, because then I honestly, half the accounts I never sign into anymore, because it's like, I'm like, I don't remember what the fucking password is. And then I go to my list of passwords, and the one that I always need is like, oh, you forgot to put that shit in there. I'm like, oh, no.
It's so true.
I know it happens.
Or if you try to fucking like sign back in or like make a new account, it's like, nope, you've already made an account with this name. And I'm like, but I can't remember my password.
And then when you accidentally get the password right after you've already changed the shit, and they're like, you already used this one.
Oh.
Because the first time you put it in, you didn't put the uppercase letter, and you didn't put the exact right numbers, and you got it right the next time. Oh my god, it gets such a fucking headache, son.
That's the same thing with like making a fucking like screen name or anything. You'll think you'll have some dope shit, and it's like, yup, I'm gonna be, Corn Dog 3, and you're just like, somebody already has that shit. And you're like,
back in the day, AIM.
You're just like, who the fuck has Corn Dog 3 out there? Like, that's my shit.
But then Corn Dog 3 is taken, Corn Dog 33 is taken.
Yeah, they're like, we can give you Corn Dog 685433769. I'm like, all right,
I'll take it.
With that shit.
Yo, first of all, let me ask you, because actually you stuck with AOL/AIM longer than most people did. Instant Messenger.
For a minute.
Does anybody fuck with that anymore or no?
I don't know. They used to send those old school CDs for like 70 minutes free or some shit, like 100.
But I remember at this point it was probably like in 2011 or 2010 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had just gotten off work, I had gotten off work. This was when I was at the dealership, and we were gonna go somewhere at night. We were gonna go to a bar or something, and we went to your house real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And like your AOL shit was signed in, your AIM shit was signed in, and I was like, I was half jealous, and the other half of me was like, but does anybody use that shit anymore? But I saw your screen names, like there were screen names of people who were signing in and signing out and shit.
Yeah.
So like you weren't the only one. Like there were still people who we knew, who were still signing in and signing out and using that shit.
I guess. I ride shit to the end, man. I was on MySpace like when people were out the back door on that shit.
Yo, has there ever been a company that crashed and burned worse than MySpace?
And I don't get it because their shit was like hot, I mean,
Facebook, I guess, overtook it, but
it did, but now
why?
Facebook's the same sense. Like,
yeah, but like, why? How did that happen? That's what I'm saying. Like, what
that
is
shit happened like overnight too,
and everybody fled, son. You were the only one left. It was you and like fucking
me and Tom.
Paulie D or some shit. Yeah. How did that happen? I'm amazed by that. You know what it might have been? I heard somebody say this. I don't know if it's true though. But like the profiles when you went to them and the fucking loud ass music was like, you would immediately hear the music and shit. Whereas Facebook was a little bit more toned down or whatever. But you're right, it really was the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember back in the day, Facebook, you really needed to have like a college login to get in.
Yeah, that's what they said in the movie was like the exclusivity or whatever. But like fuck that. Like MySpace, like it shouldn't have died that hard. Like,
yeah, no, I agree with you. It died so hard that like if anybody were to say to anybody else right now, like I have a MySpace, they'd be like, I'm not your friend anymore.
Yeah,
we're just not friends anymore. Whereas even with AIM, like I was asking you, like it's gone, dead, out of style, etc. But if I asked about it and the gut reaction of people are not like, oh, AIM, it's just like, oh, that was the shit. Whereas MySpace was the shit, but the reaction is, fuck that shit.
Yeah, like people are like angry at MySpace. Like I could see you being like, yo, let's bring back AIM, like, and sort of get that shit out again. Just like message people and shit like that. I'll be like, yeah, that's dope. But if you were like, yo, let's bring back MySpace, remember? I'd be like,
no,
you fucking crazy,
fuck
bro.
You. Fuck you, and you hang up.
Don't ever ask me that shit again. I'm done talking to you.
Do you even remember your password and your shit? I remember my name for AIM. I don't remember my password.
I don't remember my password, but I'm gonna try and your shit was your shit was just like, fuck, man, I should know this shit.
When I say it, you're gonna go, oh.
Wasn't it like Kyle Kalinske 3 or something like that?
Nah, not even close. Come on, we're talking when we
I
created these
know.
accounts, we were in high school, so we were just cornballs.
That's
Not that
crazy
we're
because I
not
probably
cornballs
like
now,
spoke to you
but-
every day on this shit. Do you remember mine?
Corn chips, something, something.
Corn
It
chip 11.
Yeah, corn chip 11. There you go. I knew it was
Damn, I
corn chip,
can't-
something, something.
When you tell me this shit, I'm gonna be mad. What is it?
KGIF 15.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow, yo, that just brought back so like I just
yeah, man.
it was just like I just signed online and like everybody's shit came right there.
Nah, I got fond. I'm saying I got fond ass memories of AIM, man. Like my first girlfriend ever. Me and her would talk on AIM, or AOL at the time, and then later on AIM. But we would
Yeah.
talk on it until 4 o'clock in the morning when we were in middle school, and like then I go into school the next day on like 3 hours of sleep, and I just be like,
You
I
used
just
to play
can't
the
wait to
poker
leave. Here.
tournaments in your basement and like just throw up a status like poker tournament at the crib, right?
Yeah,
Shit like that.
man. Yeah, yeah. No, I remember, man. I don't want to like would it be OD to give out? I mean, it's not like she uses AIM anymore either. I was gonna give out her screen and be like, every time I saw that and I was typing, like I remember getting those butterflies of like, oh my god, I'm talking to my girlfriend on AIM. I'm like so grown up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I was just a child, but I loved it, man. That it was awesome.
Yeah.
And
What was the KGIF shit?
I was just gonna say, I actually stole that. It's so funny, man. So Tommy Lolly, I don't think he would care me telling this story. I really don't think he gives a fuck. Like back in the day,
Mhm.
he told me his password had KGIF in it, and I was like, "What the fuck does that stand for?" He's like, "Oh, it stands for." And remember, this is like late middle school. Yeah, I think middle school. So still super cornball, super
Yeah.
awkward. Like, you know, in that terrible transitionary phase when you're sort of becoming an adult, but not really. Is you're just
Yeah,
like,
that awkward
super
phase.
awkward. He's like, it stands for kissing girls is fun. I was like, yo, that's
I'm
the
taking
shit. I didn't even tell him. I just took it. I'm like, I just made it my screen name. One day he was probably like, yo, what the, like, you just put my password on blast. I was like, no, it's not exactly the same. I put a 15 at the end of it. And by the way, I have no clue what the 15 was for. That actually might have been like the number of the day in the month that I started going out with my first girlfriend.
Wow.
Like I had a lot of that number shit at the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the day, and then you just use that everywhere.
Yeah.
Super corny, but I love that shit, man. I loved AIM. I remember just
That's crazy how I just learned that shit right now. Like you would think back when I was in high school, I would just be like, "Hey, what's your screen name stand for?"
yeah, I know.
Right? Like you would have thought I would have asked or like that shit or known that.
Did you ever have a sidekick or no?
No, I wanted one of those shit.
I had a sidekick, but I had got it when AIM was already on the way out.
Oh, okay.
But it was still, I still loved it. Like I was still.
I
like,
remember when
this
you
is
got
the
your
shit.
sidekick actually.
Yeah, I think I bought it off Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think I did. I think he didn't want it anymore. I'm like, let me buy that shit for you for like $3. He's like, $4.
But it was still hot. You still
No,
like
it was still hot.
got good use out of it.
Yeah, I did. And it was I think it was like my second phone. I was rocking it like
Sidekick.
on some drug dealer shit. Cause you know what it is? Remember the Nextel phase? Like when everybody had a Nextel and that shit was hot? I was never
Yep.
part of that phase, dog. I never had a Nextel.
Neither did I.
And I always fucking wanted one. I was like, yo, the cool kids got Nextels.
So
So
did
then
I.
I was like making up for the fact that I never had a Nextel by having the Sidekick, but I was already past the wave of the Sidekick being cool. So I was never cool. I was never cool with my phone shit. Like I was never.
Did you
on
ever
my
have
shit.
Did you ever have a beeper?
I never had a beeper. My sister had a beeper,
Oh, okay.
and I remember looking at her when she got it, like, damn, that shit's official.
Yeah.
You
I
had
think
one?
beeper. Yeah, I had one. It was my older stepbrother's, and then I think it got like deactivated, but it was still activated to get like sports scores and shit like that. So I
Oh.
couldn't actually get like beeps or whatever. But I think it was when we were in middle school, and I had it, and it was dope.
Yeah.
And like
son,
looking back on it now, like a fucking beeper.
beepers died hard, dog.
But I mean, like
there's
it
no
died because of
reason for them
technology
anymore.
and shit,
Yeah.
though. But like, if you were to tell a kid now, like, yeah, we used to have beepers. Like, someone would call us from a landline with their number, and we'd have to find a phone and call them back. They'd be like,
What the
What?
fuck? Did you grow up in the Stone Age? That's what they would think.
seriously?
Yeah.
And like, we're not old, but like, we
We're
grew up
getting
with
there. I
fucking
mean,
beepers.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
getting there
true.
though. I mean, 88 is when I was born. Like Taylor Swift's got that shit where she always talks about 1989 because that's when she was born. I'm always
Yeah.
like, fuck you. You should have been born 1 year earlier to make our year the shit.
Yeah,
Like, you had to be
true.
born 1 year after us, and then you make an album with that shit. And everybody's
Yeah.
like, oh, 1989. And I'm like, bitch, 1988, represent. Don't tell me
Yeah, seriously.
1989. But,
Or
I mean,
seeing
we're
the
getting
ID
there.
shit at bars, you're like, damn, that shit says
Oh,
90s in it.
What is it now? 21. I suck at math.
I think it's like 93. I could be wrong, but that's
No,
unless
I guess it would be 94 then, yeah.
maybe 94.
Right? Because 94, 2004, 2014, 2015.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Oh, my God. The Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994. I went to, like, games with my dad. He took me there.
Fucking Knicks were in the finals in 94.
Oh, we're getting so fucking old, dog. 94. Somebody born in 1993 is drinking right now legally.
Yeah.
Shit,
Crazy, right?
man.
Son, yo, 2 weeks ago, I went to fucking Milwaukee. And tell me how, I might have told you this shit, but I was with like these two kids. They both played football at University of Wisconsin. They're like, yeah, when we go out later, we go to this bar that Latrell Sprewell's out he's there every single night. I was like, Latrell Sprewell? They're like, yeah, he's broke and nobody likes him. But like, he was my fucking icon.
Yeah, I know, man. I really like Sprewell. Like, Houston would make his threes, and you'd be like, yay, Allen Houston, yay. Like, he hits the spot-up threes and shit. But, like, Sprewell was liable to go off on any given night for, like, 50.
Or choke somebody.
Or choke somebody. Or kill somebody. Or
How do
say
you go
some
from
shit.
the top like that to at a bar in Milwaukee, though,
Nah,
man?
you know, dude, it's so sad because remember, like, that somebody offered him a contract towards the end of his career, and he's
Yep.
like, "How am I supposed to feed my kids on like 80, 12 trillion million dollars?" And everybody's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? They just offered you millions. You're talking about feeding your kids?" That was sad because it's like
Oh,
a
he's
guy
got
like
like
that now.
500 kids, though.
What's his face? Also went bankrupt in like 7 seconds after leaving the league. Antoine Walker.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And
That's
Antoine
like the
Walker's
most famous story.
Think about it. He was playing with Paul Pierce. Remember that? And
Yeah.
Pierce went on to play forever.
He's still playing.
He's still playing.
He's
That's
still
what I'm
just
saying.
got like another 3-year contract.
I know. That's insane.
Walker is probably like just eating
Looking
a bag
at
of
Pierce
Doritos on the
like,
couch.
fuck,
Like,
why didn't I try to keep my shit together and play nonstop?
seriously.
All right, son. We got to talk about Hulk Hogan.
Ooh. Yeah.
You heard? First of all, I don't even know the entire story, but I know some of the story, and I just know that. So there were 2 incidents. One in the past where he was on some sort of radio show, and he
Yeah,
said
I
some
heard that.
shit that people were like, "That's pretty fucking racist."
Mhm.
I only listened to like a little bit at the beginning, and I was just like, I don't want to hear this, and I turned it off. But then I read the transcript of the new shit that people were mad about. That
Yeah.
one is fucked up. That one is
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's talking to, I guess, somebody he just fucked or whatever. And he's
Yeah.
saying, and also, look, here's a side note.
I think he was
I
talking
don't
about,
know.
they were talking about his daughter. and he
Right.
was, like,
But I don't know how they got that. How did they get that conversation in the first place? Like, was it, obviously he didn't consent to have this shit released. It was just released.
Oh, no,
right?
he was filming a porno with like this girl.
But did he think they were going to release that, or was that just released on him? Like, did he not know and that shit was just released?
I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
you
I don't
feel
know
like
either.
he released the video and just forgot that he said all that shit at the end type of deal? You know?
No,
'Cause,
I don't know. Look, I don't know. So I'm sure a lot of people listening right now, they know the facts, and they could post it in the comment section and just talk about exactly what the facts are. I don't know
Yeah,
the
maybe
facts, so you and I won't comment on that. Like, I don't know if he released the tape or if that shit was released without him knowing and he was pissed about it. If it was released without him knowing, that's fucked up. That's just as fucked up as somebody releasing,
the
a
Donald
tape of,
Sterling shit or something like that, though.
or somebody releasing a tape of them having sex with a girl and the girl doesn't consent to it, and then they put the porn online or something. Like, that's fuck you. Like, you're just a bad person. Who does that? That's just like,
Yeah.
that's private, and it was supposed to be private, and now you're releasing it. Fuck off. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So that's the first point, this caveat. But having said that, the shit that he was like, oh, my daughter's dating a black person, except he said the N-word.
Yeah.
I guess we're all a little racist. Fuck N-words. And he just kind of went on like that. And
Yeah,
like,
he went ranting.
I got really, really sad when I read that because, like, Hulk Hogan, a guy like Hulk Hogan, he's got to understand that, he's bigger than himself in a way. You know, like, what he did, what he represented, I mean, obviously it's entertainment, obviously it's pro wrestling, it's fake, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, there are a lot of very young kids, and a lot of, I'm sure, very young black kids, too, who looked up to Hulk Hogan. And they like, that's my hero. I want to be like him. Like, he represented something to people. And again, I know it's entertainment. I know it's silly. I know it's all fun and games. But when a guy like that, who's in a way like a cultural icon, says some shit like that, it's like...
But does it surprise you with fucking athletes and celebrities anymore? Like, you can't hold them
No,
to these standards.
But that's
you know?
the thing is, like, I'm kind of begging and pleading for people who are bigger than themselves to try to strive to that higher standard. Like, it's one thing if you know, if Bill Maher says something that pisses off a bunch of people, as he always does. Okay, we get it. That's his job. He's supposed to be a bombastic political commentator. I mean, there are a whole bunch of different fields that are like for grown-ass people. Like, if you're a porn star and you say some shit that's fucked up. Like, if Ron Jeremy says some shit. It's like, we're all adults here. Like, we could disagree with you, but your audience is all adults. So we could disagree with you, and it is what it is. But when you're somebody who, like, what you do is, you know, geared towards either, you know, middle-aged people in the Midwest and the South, or I'm sure in liberal states too, who are into wrestling. I was into it when I was younger or whatever. But, like, I mean, let's face it, the demographics, I'm sure, mostly young people and a lot of little kids that, like, followed wrestling, especially going back to his day, because in his day it wasn't nearly as much as it is now. It's not as much like today as it... I'm not making any sense. It, like, back then there wasn't as much like titties and ass and shit in pro wrestling is what I'm trying to say. Like, maybe a little bit, but not nearly as much. So in other words, what I'm saying is his demographic really was little kids. Like,
there's people that were like actually passionate about like the wrestling shit, not just like the show.
Yeah, and because I mean, when I was a little kid, I like Hulk Hogan and all. You know what I mean? Like, I loved wrestling for a long time. Exactly. But like, when you hear shit like that, like, when I heard it, I immediately tried to put myself in the shoes of, like, being a little black kid who looked up to Hulk Hogan or something. I mean, obviously now he's way past his prime and stuff. But, like, black kids who are our age who would admit, like, yeah, back in the day I looked up to him. Like, he was my dude. Like, he was like a Superman character, right? Like, that's what he was. And then you hear him say that, you go, it just crystallizes how, like, fucked up racism is, where it's like, you can notice that people who are part of a power structure, people who are entertainers, or people who you put on a pedestal, like, they could just hate you. They could hate you just because you're black. Just because you don't look exactly like them. There's this, you know, this sensation of, like, sort of, fuck you, you're not exactly like me, and I'm not going to view you equally. And it's shit like that. Like, a lot of people think like that, man. Like, if Hulk Hogan thinks like that, and obviously there were pictures of him with black people were sending out and shit, and it's like, if a guy like that thinks like that, and then he's out there taking pictures with black people and shit, like, that's a really poisonous kind of racism, too, because, like, imagine that's a guy who's, like, you know, instead of being Hulk Hogan, there's a guy who's, like, in charge of a company, and he has to hire people and shit. And, like, he might be kind of black people to their faces, right? But then when it comes time to hire somebody, and that's when the side might come out, like, in the back of his mind, like, oh, they're all N-words, like, you know, why don't look at them the same way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the story, it just made me sad, man. Like,
no, it's definitely real sad. I mean, like, I'm curious to think with like someone like Booker T or someone like you don't know what. I mean, you're right. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes when he was with black people from WW, like F and all that shit, hanging out with them. And I listened to the radio one, and when he said it, I was a little caught off. But then he sort of went into more detail when he was just like, he was breaking it down even more. Like, he was like, I used to come up with the term, you know, what's up, brother? Because, like, someone used to say, like, oh, this is John, and I would forget his name, so I would just say brother.
Yeah.
You know, and then, like, he would talk about stories with, like, hanging out with Booker T and, like, old school, like, real, like those are my dudes, like, real hardcore black, like, wrestlers.
Right.
And then, like, so then he threw out the N-word there, like, referring
You're
to,
talking
like,
the radio interview, right?
The radio interview, and they were, like, it was like a black radio or something like that.
Yeah. I know the host is black.
Yeah, and he was like, they sort of let me say it, you know, because I was just one of the guys. But then when I heard it on, like, the sex tape or read the transcript, I don't know, I was like, damn, he sort of crossed the line there.
Yeah,
but, like,
absolutely, yeah.
But he also is, like you said, he's older now, he's broke, he's, like, doing weird shit where, like, who knows, like, what the fuck he even really, if he really deep down meant that or was just saying it, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
It's hard
hard,
because he's
man,
had
because
like
I read
he's,
that transcript and I was just cringing the whole time, like
I
because it
know.
wasn't like it don't man. There are contexts. I'm not like a fucking absolutist. Like there are times when some black people say that some white people, I'm sorry, say that word and they get a total pass, and not just a pass from me, a pass from black people. Eminem pretty much has a pass. If Eminem walks into a room and says to Dr. Dre, "What's up, my nigga?" Nobody's gonna be like, "How dare you?" It's just not gonna happen. We know Jimmy, for example. Jimmy had a 100% pass. He could have said it to any black person, would have been like, "It's Jimmy." You know, I'm just for everybody listening, that's somebody we knew from high school.
Yeah.
Some people just can say it, and it's fine, and the context matters as well. The context in which he used it. Again, if it was a private tape, it just shouldn't have been released. Period. Right? Like that's a given. Okay. But
You
what I'm
think
saying is the
WWE
content
did the right thing? And they like the
with
next
letting
day
him
they
go?
just like no, they just like sliced everything like he wasn't even a wrestler.
I'm big on not like even with the Ray Rice situation, for example. What an organization should do, in my opinion, is separate the work itself from the individual. Like, I'm pleading for Hulk Hogan to not do that in his own mind. Like, I want him to live up to that standard so as to not, really hurt his fans, whoever his fans are, especially if they were young black kids and they got their hearts broken from hearing shit like that. But as a company, what would I have done if I was WWE? I don't I wouldn't have wiped him out of the history books because that's just not true. Like, he did wrestle for them for a really long time. He did win however many titles. He did, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Ray Rice, yeah, he's a dick. Yeah, he hit his fucking wife. Does that mean he's not a running back?
Yeah, you told me that day one, and I was like, "You're so right." Like
he is like Tiger Woods. You could hate him personally because he slept with everybody on the earth that's a female. You could hate him for that, but that doesn't mean that he didn't win 14 majors and isn't number 2 in all-time wins and already passed Jack Nicklaus in all-time wins. Like, people need to be able to separate the art itself from the individual, and it's total. What people need to understand is it's totally fine to say, you ready for this? Bill Cosby is a terrible human being who should be locked up forever. He should be in jail forever. He's a bad person. He's just a bad person. He's a criminal. He needs to be in jail forever. And I think his stand-up comedy himself was funny. You can say that. Like that's not, you're not contradicting yourself. We don't live in a world that's totally black and white. We live in a world where there's shades of gray and there's nuance. There can theoretically be somebody, for example, who's the best poker player that ever lived, just amazing, and he also did a triple homicide and he's a scumbag and he should go to jail forever. That can exist. It can exist.
well, that's like Pete Rose. Like, should he be in the Hall of Fame? Like, you can't deny the fact that he has all those hits and was the greatest hitter of all time. The fact that he gambled is separate from him hitting. You know,
Right.
like.
And by the way, like, and just so everybody knows, and we're being totally clear here, that I'm certainly not saying that, like, you know what I said from the beginning on Ray Rice, just to give everybody an example. I said the way it unfolded was silly and ridiculous, right? Like, we knew what he did, but he didn't get punished that much. And then when the video was released, it was like, punish him now again.
Yeah.
Like, but wait, but you knew what he did before, and you just didn't punish him. But then when you saw it, you're like, now we see the thing that we already knew happened, but now we're going to punish you more.
So much worse.
So it unfolded worse. It unfolded in a weird way. But what I would have done is, the first time I would have said, okay, I think he should have gone to jail for a certain amount of time or whatever, and then as soon as he's out, you can go right back to being a running back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people, I don't know, we handle it in a weird way, and we're totally unable. Like, the high school we went to, Nershaw High School, Ray Rice went there too. His picture was taken down from the Hall
there's
of
like a
Fame.
walk of fame, yeah.
Yeah, because of what he did. Like, okay, wait. We get it. What he did, nobody disagrees that what he did was fucked up. Nobody is pro, like, who's out there like, I am in favor of him hitting his wife? Nobody. But that doesn't then mean that he didn't have all the achievements that he had when he was a running back. He did have those achievements. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think people struggle
But then
with
again,
that.
but like, see, I'm torn on that, like the Ray Rice thing, because I guess I have a more personal connection to that. But like when Aaron Hernandez did all his crazy double homicide shit, University of Florida, where he played college football, they took down all his shit. He had like a spot on the walk on like the ground. They had his name in there. They dug it up. And there I was like,
Yeah, you
I was
didn't
like,
care
yeah,
as much, right?
no, I
Right.
was like, I was like,
Good.
yeah, take
Yeah.
his shit off. Like he killed 2 people. Like fuck him.
I think your example right there just swayed me a little bit because that is a good example.
Because now you have college kids coming in there. I don't know, and you see it. I mean, he
It's
did
like
play
there's the
football.
guy that did the double homicide or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Like
Yeah, I
smiling
wanna
with
be
the
like him.
Florida Gators uniform on.
Did you just
but
swing
like,
me? Fuck, I
it's
got to
hu-
think about this more, man, because that's a really powerful point. Because yeah, like when you said that, if I'm being consistent, I'd have to say, yeah, keep his shit up.
Mhm.
But I guess is there a line?
On,
How
like, what
bad
you've
does the
done?
crime have
Yeah.
to be in order for, like, what
Exactly,
crimes
yeah.
are we gonna say? Okay, you just destroyed everything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, are there some crimes? Yeah, I mean,
Like
I mean,
okay,
I just,
you said
okay,
the
I
N
just
word.
came up
Like
with this
you
example.
shouldn't delete this person off the planet. Okay, you killed 2 people. Maybe we'll take your photo down.
Yeah. And no, I think you swung me a little bit, man. You took me. I was hard line on the side of like you can compartmentalize and differentiate, but with that example, you kind of swung me, because like let's say Adolf Hitler held all the tennis records at his high school.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like
saying.
you walk in,
That's
you
such a
walk
good
in, it's
point.
like Adolf Hitler's portrait, and everybody's like, oh no,
Like
it's cool. It's just
smiling.
tennis. He was good at tennis.
No,
It's
he
like,
was
what
good.
the fuck? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, you swung me. Not okay. So obviously, we're dealing with. It's not as hard an issue as I thought. It's a spectrum issue then.
Yeah.
So it
yeah,
becomes
yeah.
like there's a spectrum, and where do you draw the line, and what kind of crimes are we gonna say
Adolf
merit?
Hitler
Like
good
you
at
gotta.
tennis.
Nah, he was mean at bocce ball though. That's what I hear, son.
Imagine he was just like a standout basketball player in middle school. Man.
That goofy ass motherfucker with his fucking mustache.
He had a
Nah,
mustache when
you're-
he came out the womb.
I was just about to say you're incapable of being good at basketball if you wear that mustache. But Michael Jordan wore it in one of the Hanes commercials. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, he
What
had the
was
Hitler
thinking?
stash.
Why would
I
he
don't
try to
know.
bring that back?
Bring it back. Like Hitler was
Literally.
the only guy with
He
it.
saw a photo of Hitler like on Google Images. He's like, I am Michael Jordan. Like I can resurrect anything. Let me try this shit.
You would think he'd have like an advisor or someone like, hey,
X&A on the things.
or maybe he just like
dude.
missed the spot. But it was a bad spot to miss.
Yo, there was a little time when I had a goatee,
Hmm?
but like, I feel like a goatee is super hit or miss.
Mhm.
Like you can do it at times, and if you do it properly, it's a hit. But then if you fuck it up like a little bit, there's no like that goatee looks decent. It's always like either really good or that's bad. Like what are you doing, son?
By
know what I
goatee,
mean?
you mean just the bottom part,
Just
or
the
did
bottom.
you have? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because a
I
goatee
never-
also is this shit too, right?
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
you
my
could-
dad has.
Yeah, you could do it. I mean, a lot of people. I think more people do it what you described. The
Mhm.
thing up here and then down to here.
Yeah.
When I did it, I just did here, and
The
I think
bottom.
I might have left the little thing under my chin to a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, if you have it at like the right length and the right like size wise,
Yeah.
then it could. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, but like it's like I said, it's so hit or miss that I'm hesitant to do it again because it's like you can fuck up the shape a little bit, you can fuck up the
Yeah.
length a little bit. Like there's, and let's just face it, man. In my opinion, I don't think most white dudes don't look as good with facial hair as black dudes do.
Mhm.
Like black dudes when they get their shit lined up and everything, it's like
Yeah,
okay,
that shit looks fresh.
yeah. And by the way, this is a great conversation to have because I saw some articles about this. Like, people are legit getting mad now that there are some white people that do, like, black styles. Like, there was an article in some magazine about
Like
how...
the barbers, or that the white
No,
kids
no,
get the
so-
hairstyle like black guy.
So there was an article where white girls were, like, teaching each other, like, oh, this is how you do an afro. Like, there's a way that a white girl can get an afro and have it look like an afro. And, like, there were articles written where people are like, nope, you can't do that. Because they say it's cultural appropriation, which means you're taking a style that's not part of your culture, you're making it part of your own culture, and that's disrespectful to the original culture. Like, that's the argument in a nutshell. And they have, like, they make some decent points, like when they say, well, when black girls wear it and they've worn it for so long, it got no respect. Nobody said, like, that's the hot shit, that's the shit that's in. But then the second that a white person wears it, everybody's like, oh, this is the new shit. So it's almost like, why was it not the shit when we were wearing it, and now it's the shit when you're wearing it? They may have some point there, but look, overall, I totally disagree with them. Because think about it, man. I've also heard arguments where people say, hey, well, why is it that the only hairstyles that are so mainstream in culture have to be white girl hairstyles with the straight hair and everything and the way that
Yeah.
white girls do it. And like I've heard people say that's fucked up, that's the beauty standard. Why is the beauty standard
Like
not
the Barbie doll.
not afro like an afro or some other kind of beauty standard? But then when everybody starts doing that standard, then they're like, I can't believe you're doing that standard. That's fucked up and racist. It's like, wait, but it's racist when they didn't do it, and now it's racist when they do it? But that just doesn't make any sense. And also, think about it, man. You and me both. I know myself, for a majority of my life, I went to black barbers. Because I think where we grew up, they cut hair better, period. They actually line your shit up. They know how to fade your shit right. They could taper it nicely, or they can give you, you and I both liked getting like kind of a mix between a low fade and a high fade, or a mix between like a tape up and a low fade, and they could just fade that shit right. Whereas if you walk into a white barbershop and you're like, let me get this skin tight fade, they'll be like, huh? They're like, all they have is the scissors. And I was just gonna trim your, like, no.
It's just in their
you don't know.
DNA is like black and Spanish dudes like know how to cut hair. But if you ask, I went to a sleepaway camp after going to like this Haitian dude, and he used to hook my shit up, give me this fresh line. I went to sleepaway camp, and I saw this white kid was cutting hair, and I was like, yo man, like just do me a favor, like my shit is fine, but I just want like the pointed side brows.
Couldn't
He's
do
like,
it.
yeah, I got you. I got you.
Fucked your
I was
shit
like,
up.
dude, just all I need is a point. He took away my the part that juts out here, like that
No.
part of your hair, and he
No.
just made my whole shit straight.
Oh my god.
And I left the barber. I left him, and he was like, yeah, so I'll just charge you like $3.
Oh
I was like,
my god.
you're not getting any of my money.
That's
I had to wear a
unbelievable,
hat
man.
the whole fucking summer.
Yeah, my shit was fucked up for prom. You remember that?
No,
I had to wear my shit.
who zipped
I
your
always
shit?
had my shit taped up, like the blowout, and I had
Yeah.
to wear it down forward because they fucked up my lineup.
Oh,
Because I
really?
didn't go to a black dude. I didn't go to the guy I usually went to. So I was like, what the fuck? So anyway, my point is, you and me both, we know, like, we were going to black barbers before anybody ever said or thought, like, that's the shit that you're doing, we're culturally appropriating right now. You know what I'm saying? It was never like, it wasn't nefarious. I wasn't like, "Mwahaha, as a racist, let me go get my hair cut from a black person so that I like it better and it looks better."
Yeah.
Like, I get it if you don't want to say, oh my god, it's a compliment that you want to wear our styles now. If you don't want to say that, that's fine. But to say you can't wear it and don't wear it for reasons X, Y, and Z, no, now you're just... And this goes back to something, I had a conversation with Sargon of Akkad. He's another YouTuber. We had a great conversation. I think he was right in the conversation looking back at it. Because what he spoke about is, like, the political spectrum is not liberal, conservative, and that's it. Like, it's not left-wing, right-wing, and that's it. It's not just like a line. He said, think of it like a box, where it's like, I'm voguing here. Vogue. He said, like, think of it like a box, where up is authoritarian, down is libertarian, then you have left and right, so liberal and conservative. And, like, you can be a liberal, but also be authoritarian, which means, like, you can say, oh, I'm a liberal, so I'm in favor of feminism, I'm anti-racism, I'm in favor of gay rights and stuff. But you can also be, like, an authoritarian in those things, where you could be against racism, but in fighting racism, you say you're culturally appropriating if you've ever gone to a black barber or gotten a black hairstyle or put an afro on and you're a white girl. Well, then you're no longer you're not a libertarian along with your liberalism. You're an authoritarian liberal where you want to copy a trick that oftentimes the right-wingers do much more often, which is, I'm going to tell you what to do and how to live your life, and I'm going to control aspects of you.
So wouldn't that not make them like a liberal?
Exactly. See, that's the point that I made to this guy Sargon, who's a smart guy. I was like, well, then you're just not really liberal. Like, you're saying you're liberal, but you're not liberal. And he's like, well, no, because you have to look at it like, what cause are they being authoritarian for? You know what I mean? Like, so if somebody's being authoritarian
on gay rights,
and it's like viewed as being a pro-worker, like pro the middle class. Like, I'm so in favor of the middle class and I'm so in favor of workers that I want to set up a system where everybody gets paid exactly the same. Like communism, for example, right? It's like, okay, well, now you're liberal, but you're authoritarian, and now I don't like that. That's not the kind of liberal I am. I guess I'm a liberal libertarian is the best way to describe it, because I don't, once people start like censoring other people's speech, and once people start telling other people what they can and cannot do, like even if you think you're on the right side of it and your general sentiment might be correct, like the sentiment behind stop culturally appropriating is stop racism, right? So I agree with that sentiment, but I totally disagree with the aims. I disagree with where it went, because like you're not actually doing that the right way. You know what I mean? It's like, let me give you another example. Like over the weekend, the Black Lives Matter movement, who I generally support, they shut down a Bernie Sanders rally.
I know, I saw that shit. Seattle, right?
Yeah, but like the thing that pisses me off about it is like, number one, I actually don't even know if it really was Black Lives Matter, because it's such a ridiculous thing to do that I was like, there's no way that was really Black Lives Matter people. That's insane. Like, why would you shut down a Bernie Sanders rally? And the thing is, it's like, okay, now you're not taking yes for an answer, right? Because Bernie Sanders is on your side. He's been totally clear about it. He was part of the fucking civil rights movement. This is a guy who, if you sit down and have a policy conversation with him and you outline for him 10 policies that you want implemented to combat racism, Bernie Sanders is probably going to agree with you on 10 out of 10 of them. Worst case scenario, 8 out of 10 of them, but probably more like 10 out of 10 of them. So if you're protesting him, you missed the point. You don't protest people you agree with. That's like Occupy Wall Street protesting Elizabeth Warren. That doesn't make any sense. That's like, I was trying to come up with another example, but I think everybody gets the point. You're just, you missed the mark. You're not, you're not being effective in.
Well, it's like two people arguing about the same point, and at the end of it, it's like we're both agreeing. Like, why are we arguing?
So like when somebody who says white girls wearing afros are culturally appropriating and that's wrong, like I think the counter argument is, but wait, they like the style, you originated the style. At its core, what it is a compliment, because they say we like your culture better than our culture. By the same token, when you and I went to a black barber, I'll say it right now, I was unequivocally standing up and saying, I think black people cut hair better than white people in my area. That, by the way, that doesn't mean that literally every black person ever cuts hair better
and usually
than every white person ever.
That usually tends to get more respect too. It's like your barber will like appreciate that you appreciate that they give a better haircut.
Exactly, but it's like when sometimes people get so extreme in the core belief to the point where, going back to what I was saying, they become authoritarian. It's no longer like you're so rigid and you're so strict and you're so extreme that you're willing to be sloppy in how you implement your ideology and your strategy, because you care so deeply about the main purpose that you lose sight of what the actual goal is. Like, if you're protesting a Bernie Sanders rally because you think Black Lives Matter, you're not helping. You're actually making it worse, because you're actually doing the bidding of billionaires. Like, there's nobody who wants to see a Bernie Sanders rally shut down more than billionaires and racists and corporations and everybody who's against what you stand for in the Black Lives Matter movement, Yeah.
So
it's 100%. Like, it's just, what are you doing? What are you doing? But by the way, that might have been a bad example, because, again, I'm not even 100% sure they really were part of the movement. Because it's like, I saw two things yesterday after that. One of them was a link to a Facebook page from a Black Lives Matter page for Seattle, which is where they were, and that it apologized to Bernie Sanders profusely.
Oh, really?
It's like, sorry, it's got nothing to do with us, yada, yada, yada. We apologize, this was wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But then I read another Black Lives Matter page that said, no, it was us, and here's why it was us. And, of course, it made no sense what they said. Like, what about Mike Brown? What about this? What about that? Bernie Sanders agrees with you on those things. What are you saying? What are you saying?
That's the first thing I heard, was just like a Bernie Sanders rally got shut down in Seattle. And then I was like, why? It was like, because of Black Lives Matter. I was like, but Bernie Sanders? Like... And then I think someone told me, like, because he once said it's not that Black Lives Matter, it's all lives matter, right?
No, that was O'Malley said that. That wasn't.
Oh, really?
That wasn't Bernie Sanders. That was O'Malley.
Oh.
And to that O'Malley thing, by the way, like, I get it. I actually agree that when people say all lives matter, it is a dodge, because it's like somebody saying, I'm against segregation because I don't want to keep blacks down. And then somebody responds like, yeah, well, I'm against segregation. I don't want to keep whites down. It's like, but we know that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when somebody says all lives matter, what they're saying is, the black people are saying, well, we know all lives matter. Like, that's a given. White lives already matter. Like, we're saying, let's make it even. Let's get the black lives to matter. So I get why they're pissed about that point. But again, I disagreed with the fact that they did that at Netroots Nation, by the way, which is a progressive gathering. Like, you're protesting in Netroots Nation. That doesn't make sense to protest there. They are on your side.
Yeah.
O'Malley might be slightly out of touch, and he might not get the distinction that you shouldn't say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter. But you're again, it's not even like you're protesting somebody who might actually disagree with you 50%, who might actually not implement the policies that would help you, like Hillary Clinton, for example, right? Like, I get people protesting Hillary Clinton and saying, you're really not progressive enough. Like, you're not good enough on these issues. But if you're protesting Bernie Sanders, if you're protesting Netroots Nation, again, you're just not taking yes for an answer because they say yes to you. That, again, if you go through 10 policies and say, these are the policies I want in order to combat racism, Bernie Sanders is agreeing with at least 8 out of 10. More likely 10 out of 10. So, go fucking bark up Trump
mad when I heard that. Yeah, seriously.
No, I was pissed too, man, because it's just you're not getting it. Either that
and
or,
you're
like
not
I said, it's not
you're
real.
not helping
it's not part of the movement. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so I got way off track there. I gotta reel it back in here because there's a few more things I want to get to before we wrap it up. Did you hear about the Cecil the Lion thing?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody says Cecil. I'm sticking with Cecil.
I don't even give a fuck.
Yeah.
I know Cecil Fielder, the baseball player, so I'll go Cecil.
Yeah, I'm going Cecil. Apparently people like in Europe are saying Cecil more, and people in the U.S. are like, Cecil. Say Cecil.
Yeah, I mean, was he French or like...
French line. It's French line. So I'm sure everybody knows the story already, but a lion was killed by a dentist who was trophy hunting in Africa, and, the internet exploded over it and shit. I'm 100% against trophy hunting. Trophy hunting is just the idea that you kill some shit so that you go, I killed this. Okay, is your dick still small? Yes.
Yep.
So, like, what does that matter? So I'm against trophy hunting, but I'm not in any way against people who hunt and then they eat the meat.
Yeah. Your father was a hunter, right? I mean,
my dad was actually a hunter, and he ate this stuff, so he was slightly better. But that's not even why I'm cool with hunting, because if you compare the way animals die when they're hunted for people to eat the animal versus what happens in factory farms, the animal's much better off being just standard hunted,
I get, that's
like
a good point.
In factory farms, there's like...
Well, they had that special of like chickens getting pushed by like a construction vehicle, like all against the wall or something.
Chickens, like the way they're treated, man, is like it's horrendous. Like I'm not even a huge like animal rights guy, but when I look at the way factory farms work, I'm like, no, you can't do that. Like there should be laws where like you have to have like whether it's a cow, a pig, or whatever you're growing, you have to give them enough room to be okay. Like some of them, they can't even fucking turn around. Like they raise them in a thing where they can't even turn around. So they live this terrified existence where they just stand there, and they can't turn around. They can't do anything.
Yeah,
that
shit is bad.
Slaughtered, and they obviously have no regard for actual pain. Like we've seen from a lot of the uncovered videos, they slaughter them in the most gruesome ways imaginable.
Chop their heads up, and they put them on like drugs and shit too, right?
Well, they pump them full of hormones and steroids and shit to grow them to ridiculous lengths, and they feed them shit that they really shouldn't be eating. Like it's not part of their diet, and they grow in weird ways. Oh. Yeah, like I'm totally against factory farming. So anyway, I'm against trophy hunting. I'm fine with regular hunting, and I think a lot of the outrage was merited over this thing. But whenever I see outrage over stuff like this, I always want to dig a little deeper and be like, at some point, I'm going to hit some fucking hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people are so outraged, it's like, really? You're that outraged? Like, some of these people were not this outraged over Sandra Bland, for example. The girl who died when she got pulled over for a fucking, you switched lanes without a blinker, and then she's dead.
Well, it's the fad shit. It's like everything else we've seen. It's like Coney. It's like fucking.
See, that's why it pisses me off though, because it's like it's not even like it's necessarily rational priorities. And again, I'm fine. I think a lot of the outrage was merited, so I'm fine with outrage over it. But when it gets to a certain point, when there's like a tipping point, and people are talking about it who don't even usually talk about news, and they act like it's the main thing that they care about and stuff, it's like, but wait a second, did you or did you not eat a burger last Thursday?
Yeah.
Did you or did you not have some bacon 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Did you or do you or do you not eat chicken 3 times a week? Like there is I never know where to draw the line when it comes to animal rights, you know? Like, cuz it's like, again, I'm against trophy hunting. I'm against, like I just said, the factory farm thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just fucked up how they do it. They got to do it better.
Mm-hmm.
But like, where do we draw the line? Cuz it's not like, you know, are we all really so sure that we're not doing something fucked up when we eat meat? I mean, I eat meat.
Yeah.
I don't plan on stopping, but like, I am eating something that was fucking alive, you know?
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't
So
know,
it's almost
a
like,
good point.
I feel like vegans are probably the only ones that are actually
Can say some
consistent
shit.
on this. Like, well, don't get me wrong. Vegans are consistent, and then I guess you could say the people who say fuck them all are consistent, who are like, I kill everything and eat everything. Like, okay, I guess you're consistent, you know? But like,
Yeah.
I guess, I just, in my own mind, I just kind of up my own respect for vegans here, because it's like, they were, from day one, they're the people like, no, I just don't eat things that ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, really? And that philosophy kind of makes sense if you think about it. Like, if they really believe in, like, I don't want to hurt anything that's ever lived, like, that is consistent. I mean, you're missing out on some shit, son, because let me tell you, I've had some mean bacon cheeseburgers in my day.
That's what I'm saying. And I feel like you need to have some meat, like, or just some fucking something, some substance.
I'm out of my league here, man. I wish I
Yeah,
could
I mean,
fire
I don't know.
Yeah. I wish I could fire back with, like, some dietitian shit, but I'm an idiot, man. you know what my diet's like, dog. I can't. I'm in no position to fucking talk about that shit. All right, so
But Bill Maher broke that shit down awesome yesterday on fucking or on Friday. He was like, there's a certain. He's like, when Donald Trump's son killed that elephant, it was almost like, okay, you know, he's filthy fucking rich.
Yeah.
But just a dentist from Minnesota, you know, like paying $60,000 to kill a lion.
I'm against the over-the-top reaction too. So let me be clear. Like, that dude's been harassed. He had to move, change. I don't know if he changed his name, but he had to move. He's like being protected.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
he's done. It's the same thing as the guy who fucking fucked up the Cubs, Steve Bartman. Like, the guy interrupted Moises Alou from catching the ball, and supposedly, you know, he ruined the Cubs from going to the World Series, and all of Chicago like wiped him off the planet of like Earth. No one's ever heard from the guy. It's been since 2003 or some shit like that.
Yeah, so it's gone too. I think the reaction has gone too far. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know what the punishment should be. I mean, what should the punishment be for something like that? Like, I'm against trophy hunting. I don't think it should be allowed.
Yeah.
But what should the punishment be? I don't know.
Does a fine hurt a guy who's paying $60,000 to?
Yeah, I don't know what the fine. I don't know what the punishment. I really have to think about it to come up with something I think is like fair, and it would require a lot of time.
Put him in a cage with his fucking lion's wife or some shit.
Imagine they're like, you have to fight a lion now. See how that works out. Every time you come in, like, another one died. Oh, okay. We thought that would happen. All right, final thing real quick, and then we'll wrap it up here. I think I'm pretty sure that I have internet addiction.
It's possible.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure I'm
I do too.
addicted to it. But you ready? Here's the curveball. I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, depending on what you're like looking at on the internet. I mean, you're doing work.
Well, I'm obviously going to www.bigolddicks.com.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, but see, like, I feel like there's this feeling among certain people where they're like, oh, the internet, like, oh, these kids nowadays spend too much time on the internet and blah, 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 blah. But that's kind of what the world has become. Like, I get it if you're literally spending all the time on it and you never go out in the sun or have some fun. Everyone, like, I get it. Like, you want to have some time to do some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so interconnected now, and it's become such a normal part of our lives that it's like, I'm not so sure it's a bad thing. Like, I got this weird theory I've spoken about before, man. The idea that, like, when you're younger, when I was younger, I got an obsessive personality, and if I spent all my time doing one thing, people would say that's unhealthy. Like, you shouldn't do that. You got to put all your eggs in different baskets and stuff. And I always thought, why? Like, you're saying that, but what the fuck do you know? Like, what do you know that makes, like, how are you so certain? You're no different than me. You're just a person. Like, what are you talking about? as I've gotten older, I realized that little asshole Kyle was right. Like, the idea that if you're obsessed with something, it's bad and you should get away from it, or even to the point of, you could say you're addicted to certain hobbies or whatever, I think that's actually a positive thing. Because it's like, you can... How do you think fucking Kobe Bryant got so good at basketball? Like, all he fucking did was play basketball. That's all he fucking did. He said that in his documentary, in the Muse documentary. Yeah. Where he was like, no, like, that's where I went because that was my getaway from all the bullshit. And so I would just stay there as long as I fucking could. All I would do is play basketball. How do you think Steve Jobs created his fucking gargantuan company, Apple? Because he spent all of his time going, how am I going to make this better? What am I going to do? I love this thing. I'm enjoying doing this. I need to work at it. Bill Gates, saying, like, Tiger Woods, he even has a quote. He said, I'm addicted to golf. He said, it's fair to say I'm addicted to golf. Those are the people who are going to push the envelope. Those are the people, and like you can have people who say, "Oh, you're not diversifying enough. You're not being moderate enough." Okay, well then you go do eight different things somewhat well, and let everybody else who wants to go do the one thing really well, and that'll work. Like to each their own. So like, if you were to take away internet from me, I do legit think I might have withdrawal symptoms. Like if I go through like a week and a half without internet, I'd be like, it'd be like I need a fucking heroin fix or some shit. I'd be like, oh my god, but like whatever, man. Like it's such a benefit when it's there.
Yeah.
That to take it away and go through the pain to come out on the other end is like slightly worse. It's like, well, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just keep using the internet as often as I do?
Well, because then someone would say like, what if all the internet shut off or some shit? You had to get used to it again, without the shit.
Well, if we had
like would you
a nuclear holocaust or something, or The Walking Dead happens and there's like a zombie apocalypse and the internet goes out, well then fuck it, man. We're all fucked. We're all up shit's creek anyway, so we all got to deal with that shit.
That's true. But I guess like, maybe the other side of the argument is like, would you know how to do something else? Like
if you were to drop me in the middle of Siberia right now with like a fucking a pocket knife and like some shit to make a fire, I'd die in 37 minutes anyway.
Me too.
Yeah, like I think we're all kind of like that right now. But
everyone would, even the guy who knows how to change a tire or some shit like that. You fucking throw him in some crazy shit. They're not surviving more than fucking 2 weeks.
Even Survivor Man's gonna go 2 weeks and then he's dead too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the dude who has the TV show who does this shit and really does
even
this
the fucking
shit.
Crocodile hunter. Like the guy was an expert, and one time it fucked up.
Yeah,
and he's dead.
exactly. So we're all fucksville anyway when some shit like that happens. So I'll stick with my internet addiction. Everybody else can suck my dick.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't like, and I also hate the like random video game hatred. Like my friend's dad. Mm-hmm. Has this thing where he's like, if he sees anybody playing video games, like, I don't get out there and fucking run in a field. Why? Fuck you. Why would I run in a field? What kind of... Sometimes video games are more fun than running in a fucking field. I get like, if sure, every once in a while you want to play some soccer, want to play some basketball, rock on. I'm right there with you. But if somebody wants to play some fucking video games, we forget like how quickly we lose perspective. When the first video games came out, when fucking Atari came out and people were playing Pong, people's minds were blown. They were like, oh my god, you're controlling something on the screen. Mm-hmm. And then quickly people were just like, yeah, he's just controlling something on the screen. That's fucking amazing. It's amazing. When you do a first-person shooter game, when you play a basketball game on playing video games, you're controlling something on screen. You're fucking in a war on screen with a gun. Like, that's fucking fascinating. Technology has made it so you could do anything, really.
Yeah, seriously.
And just wait until virtual reality porn comes out, son. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to have kids anymore. Everybody's just going to be fucking microwaving some weird contraption that's like somewhat warm and moist and fucking it 18 hours a day.
That's why I fucking... I just thought of that. No, but I had a debate with someone like this weekend about the Indonesian flight that like went off the radar. To me, it was just like, I don't know how there was no radar that can pick them up with all of the satellites and technology and shit. Like, it just seemed like such bullshit to me that it was like, it went off radar.
Well, they found it now. It was Malaysian too, I think, by the way.
Malaysian.
But, they found it now. They found pieces of the plane and shit.
The fact that there was...
That's
like,
why everybody was obsessed with it. That's why everybody was obsessed with it. That little mystery thing right there, where everybody was like, "Oh my God, we can do anything now, but we can't find this plane."
Yeah.
And that's why it got nonstop coverage, and CNN masturbated to it, and all that stuff. You know, but I wasn't on that. I was more mocking CNN for
the coverage they gave to that shit.
The endless coverage they gave to it. Then I was. Brian said the same thing you said, and I was like, dude. It happens, I guess, sometimes. Yeah. That shit is gone. Like, it crashed. I love when people were like, ooh, maybe...
It's on its own island somewhere.
Maybe Libya. Maybe they flew it to Libya, and ISIS is going to use it for an attack. Or when Don Lemon said, maybe it was a black hole. Maybe a black hole opened up and the plane went in. I was like, oh, my God, you're so incredibly dumb. How do you let those words come out of your mouth on national TV, you idiot? Yeah, it was sad.
Bro, you haven't even spoken about fucking Donald Trump.
Oh, I know. You want to know why? Because I covered him
I'm sure you on it, sure.
Friday,
What's his deal? I mean, like, what are they saying? Because obviously he's fucking Donald Trump, but like his first debate, is he still high in the polls? Is he down?
In all the snap polls, which are the polls that come out directly after, he won.
Oh.
He won by a mile, dude. There was one poll that had him at 47%.
What?
There were 10 people on stage. He got 47%.
What can turn people off to him? Is there anything? Is there anything that can turn people off to him?
Yeah, look, he is going to fizzle out at some point. There's no doubt.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Because you want to know why? We kind of have some precedent for this. I don't know if you remember this, but Newt Gingrich. Remember Newt Gingrich?
Yeah.
Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House in the Clinton years. He was bombastic. He was crazy. Mm-hmm. He's undoubtedly smarter than Donald Trump, but he's got a very similar, attitude, and he kind of debates the same way. Again, he's more coherent than Trump. He's still wrong about everything, but he's more coherent, and he can make a finer point than Trump.
Yeah.
But, like, he had his moment in the sun in the last race where he was ahead of Mitt Romney in pretty much all the polls, and I think he won a couple primaries. And, like, people were like, oh, my God, Gingrich. Like, oh my God, he's fucking making a move. Look at this is amazing. But then after a while, it was just like...
It just fizzled out. Yeah.
Now,
I'm sort of scared that he's so...
That's the thing. I speculated that his run can last much longer than Gingrich's. I don't know. I don't have a fucking crystal ball. But it's certainly possible that his run can last longer than Gingrich because Gingrich is an establishment prick. Everybody knows he's deeply embedded in the anus of the establishment. But Trump, he's got that thing about him where it's like, he's a billionaire, he's an asshole, but people go, but he is kind of honest. Like, that's what they think when they hear him talk. And when he did, the other day, I had to give him credit on the show when covering the debate because there was one point where he just admits everything about the system that we've been saying for the longest time, where he's like, let me tell you the way it works. I paid these politicians. They do anything for me. He said, who says that in a Republican debate with 24 million fucking people watching? He's like, yeah, I gave Hillary Clinton money. She came my way. Yeah, I give I give most of the guys on stage money here. And then they do whatever I want. And that's the way the system works. And the rest of the idiot Republicans, just shows you how deeply corrupt they are. They walked right into the trap. They're like, oh, well, if you don't make it through, Donald, you'll give me some money? It's like, oh my God, you idiot. But see, the thing is, the key part is Trump went on to say, after he admitted that it was corruption, he's like, the system's broken. So in other words, what he's saying is, I'll change it if I get in office. He said that when he launched his campaign, too. He's like, the lobbyists are going to come to me and say, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to say, no. And that's the one thing people like about him, because he's like, look, man,
he doesn't need the money.
I might not be intelligent. I might be incredibly arrogant. He obviously wouldn't admit that he's not intelligent, but in reality, he's not intelligent. So he might not be that bright. He might be ridiculous. He might have the buffoonish hair. He might be born with a silver spoon in his mouth. All these problems. But the one thing which is make people go, is that he's portraying himself as anti-establishment, and he's saying
he's not going to take orders from anybody.
Exactly. And people go, I might not like the guy, but he's the only one that's saying that, and that makes a lot of people go, whoa. And I've said, man, everybody on the Republican stage was handing over the Democratic primary to Hillary. Now, Hillary might win, of course, but you can't give it to her at this point because they were doing the same shit in 2008, man, and then Obama won. Who would have said before Obama won, who would have said a black guy who has a Muslim father who's named Barack Obama, his name is one letter different from Osama. Who would have said his fucking middle name is Hussein? Who would have said, you know, a black guy whose father is a Muslim, whose name is Barack Hussein Obama, is going to win, is going to be president of the United States? Nobody would have said that. Nobody would have said that. But then he did. He came up to the left of Hillary. He was a much better politician, much better debater. Hillary, you know, drove the car into a ditch as she always does when she gets a little crazy, a little goofy going on in the campaign, when her eyes get bigger and she gets more angry and people don't like her. And it happens, man. But now I'm scaring myself because I'm semi-talking myself into the fact that Trump, there's a 3% chance Trump can win the nomination, son.
It's fucking, like, legit, like, mind-boggling.
Yeah, man.
Legit.
I know.
He doesn't answer any questions, like, with no substance, nothing. Oh.
Dude, doesn't it show you? Look, I have to say it. You know me, man. The Democratic Party is way too corrupt. They're way too pro-establishment, et cetera, et cetera. But it shows you that one of the two parties is just much more normal, just regular
It seemed like a joke.
It
It seemed like Saturday Night Live, dude. It was like,
the questions
when I was watching the end.
Did you see the God question?
She was like, that's what she, at the end, what was it? Megan Kelly is her name?
Yeah.
She's like, you know, we're coming back with conclusions, final questions, and God. And I was just like, wait, what?
Who?
Like, pause.
Right.
God.
Even if you believe in God, and the majority of the country does, that doesn't mean that they're silly enough to think that any of the Republican candidates actually spoke to God. Like, they could believe in God and know that, like, that's my personal shit, that's my faith. But you think...
But the fact that, like, then now, like, conservatives trying to cover up for the people on stage, just like, oh, they were just answering a question that was asked to them.
But it's a dumb
like,
fucking
no,
question.
don't do that.
Yeah, you know
now.
what you say if you're asked that question? I would laugh at it. If somebody, Kyle, have you heard from God? The way they framed it when they came back from the break was even worse. It was like, have you heard from God or something like that? And they asked Ted Cruz, and then they went, I guess, to some other people. But, like, if that question was asked of me, I would have been like... Seriously? Seriously?
Yeah, like, what?
Like, we're talking about, like, there are 8 scientists who just committed suicide over your question. Like, your question presupposes that we know, as a matter of fact, that God exists. But, of course, a belief in God is faith. It's not fact. So you're saying a God exists, and the God was possibly speaking to the Republican candidates. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was fucking bugged out.
Yeah.
That was bugged out.
No,
but I think they're making Trump look so absurd that they're making, like, maybe the second guy who's to win look sort of normal, you know? So now, if Trump doesn't win, the next guy come up and you're like, all right, well, Trump was just a joke. Maybe this guy's a little normal.
You're right, because you got a good, you know, innate political sense, because that's what I was talking about the other day, how there are some guys who did not score well in the debate who are more viable candidates, and I called them sleepers. I said, look out for these guys, because they're sleepers. Because remember, in 2008 and in 2012, who got the Republican nomination? The sleeper. John McCain was a sleeper. John McCain was tarred endlessly. He was called the most liberal guy in the race for the Republicans, and, oh, he's a maverick, but, you know, that means he worked with the Democrats too much. The Democrats are evil and bad. He ended up winning the nomination. Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, for all his flaws, the robotic clown he is, out of all the idiots on stage, he was the most moderate pro-establishment guy. You know, he beat guys like fucking Newt Gingrich. He beat guys like Rick Santorum. Like, those are people that he's going to beat. Now, who are the sleepers this time around? Marco Rubio, Scott Walker, Jeb Bush. Those are the sleeper pro-establishment guys. And actually John Kasich, too.
What about that neuroscience guy?
Ben
Black
Carson.
guy?
I don't think he has a chance.
No?
No. He's way too partisan. And he's too unpresidential, too. I hate using that word because that's not something... I don't like diagnosing, a political candidate's chances using words like that and using concepts like that. But he doesn't... it doesn't resonate, man. He's just like, and then when I say that, people will say, well, Trump isn't unpresidential either. But Trump does have the saving grace of the over-the-top confidence, which people love a leader. They naturally love somebody who's like, I got this shit. Whereas Ben Carson is just saying crazy, over-the-top, super partisan shit. Like, I'm gonna not fight politically correct wars, aka I'm not gonna listen to international law. He's saying that. And he's saying it in this voice, which is like very blah, 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 where you can't even pay attention because you lose interest 3 seconds in. You're like, dude, okay, you're boring me now. Let's move on here. That's why I say Scott Walker, Jeb Bush, and John Kasich, again, I think he did well, and he's the most sane guy on stage alongside Rand Paul.
I'm trying to think which one that was. I don't even know which one
He's
that
the guy,
was.
yeah, nobody knows who he was. I was joking about that before it. Like, nobody knows who he is. Like, I was joking that they wouldn't let him in the building because they're like, who the fuck are you? But the thing is, it was in Ohio, so that's his state. He's the governor of that state. So, he had the home court advantage. So that's why he actually got louder applauses and stuff. But he was good. He was good, though. So he's got a shot now, I think. But like I said, I think the sleeper candidates are Jeb, Scott Walker, and Rubio. And they didn't all necessarily register well in this one. Jeb and Scott Walker did not at all. They finished like almost last. But they're going to tread water, son, and they'll be there at the end. Marco Rubio did better than expected. He started out really fucking awkward and nervous like he always does. I was expecting him to do the water sip thing. Yeah. But then he kind of pulled it together, and he actually finished in like second in some polls and like third or fourth in some other polls. So
can't believe that with Trump, man. It's
yeah. Well,
if there is one woman that votes for him, she's just got to be like a fucking idiot.
Well, the guy too, obviously.
Well, the guy too.
But you're saying for all the
for all the women out there, like you can't
get
one woman.
Yeah. That Rosie O'Donnell line landed, dog. Did you notice how the crowd erupted when he said that?
No, what'd he say?
So Megyn Kelly was like, you've called women fat slobs, lazy pigs, yada, yada, yada. And Trump goes, only Rosie O'Donnell. And the audience was like, fuck Rosie, yeah. And it lands shit like that. The base eats that up, man. Like, more of that. They just fucking...
But just how much of a joke they are at the end when they're like, one of us here is leading in the polls and this and that, and it's Hillary Clinton. And I was like, just that they have to go for these stupid zingers that it's just like, how old are you?
Yeah, no. You're pointing at something really profound here that other people have pointed to as well, which is that people are so tired of the button-down politician game. Like, if you talk to almost anybody and you talk about politicians, they're gonna say like, fuck them. Like, the gut reaction always, fuck them. Like the sleazy, lying, slimy people who bullshit nonstop. And that, again, it goes back to why a lot of people are somewhat liking Trump now. Because he's like, I'm going to tell you how it is, and I'm crazy, but I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm not going to fucking, beat around the bush here endlessly. So it is a phenomenon. It is incredible to watch.
It is.
All right, son, I'm all set. You got anything you wanted to throw out here at the end, or are we all goodsies?
No, when are you taking Jon Stewart's spot?
Look, I gotta say, dude, I know you're fucking around now, but there were people who were like really asking stuff like that, and my response is always the same. I'm not a comedian, man. Like, if I'm funny, it's totally by accident.
But you could hit it with some shit.
But you know what it is, man? I think Jon Stewart's job, although it's unquestionable that I work longer hours than he does, but that's a separate thing. But his job is harder than mine. It's harder because what he did is he had to take all the news of the day, and it was mandatory that he put it through a comedic lens. Like, he didn't have a choice but to make jokes out of it. Whereas what I do is I give, like, news and my own commentary and my opinions and stuff. And then if I happen to be funny, it's just because I'm fucking around. And I'm usually not funny because I'm giving standard jokes like Jon Stewart has to do, like a format for a joke. If I'm ever funny, it's just because I'm making fart noises or I'm making silly voices.
Making fart noises.
Yeah, that's just it. It's only the fart noises. People are like, oh, that's genius. Take Jon Stewart's place. No, I'm just not good enough. It's not what I do. But yeah, I'm flattered when people ask me that. But no, I say people like it's more than like 5 dudes who've asked me that.
Probably had a lot of people. I see people saying that shit all the time.
Nah, it's not all that. Everybody knows that's not my gig. Plus, I don't I wouldn't want to do some shit like that. Anytime you have a boss, you know what I mean? Like, I know there's some people out there in internet land who think, like, oh, he takes his marching orders from TYT. Not
No, you don't.
They've never, ever said, Kyle, you can't do that story. We don't approve of it. They have zero editorial control. Fuck, I've done multiple videos, where I go after TYT. Like, I don't agree with this. So you're wrong about this. So, you know, they have zero.
You don't shy away from that shit.
Yeah, they don't. And they wouldn't want it that way either. What, they wanted if they wanted to micromanage me, I wouldn't have the viewership numbers I have and the subscribers I have. It just wouldn't be the same. People come to Secular Talk because I offer something different than what they do. You know, there are probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 issues where me and them are not simpatico, to steal a line from. What's that from? I remember it from the Justin Timberlake, Bad Teacher. Remember that? With Cameron Diaz?
Yeah.
He was super hot in
that
that movie.
The movie got really bad ratings, but I think I would watch it again if it was on TNT or some shit.
You nailed it. In fact, I'm gonna try to do that right now. Like, if I want that shit, you know what that it is? I want that on like
TBS or some shit.
or USA or TNT or some shit. Or if one of the Hangovers is on, 100% I'm watching it.
Bro, everybody has that movie. So, fuck. I have that movie. It's old school. You always got to watch that shit. Training Day if it's on.
Yep.
But for some reason, last night, this movie is always on. And I saw it in the theaters, and I sort of liked it. The Book of Eli with Denzel.
You didn't watch it,
I don't know if it's just because Denzel's in it. No, I did watch it. I always have to watch it if it's on TV
for some reason. Did you like it or no? I wasn't too hot on that.
I'm okay.
And
I'm okay with it.
But I wasn't too hot on it.
Yeah. I'm okay with it, but just for some reason, when it's on TV, I always watch the whole shit.
Dude, I'm like that with pretty much all the Fridays. But the most important one being next Friday. I think next Friday is better than the original Friday. And not many people are with me on that. Or actually, that's not true. That's not true. There are a good number of people that are with me on that. I wouldn't say that Friday after next is better than the original Friday. But I would say that next Friday is better than the original Friday. Next Friday is the best one in my opinion.
Friday after next? Wasn't he like not in one of them? Like on some like American Pie shit?
He wasn't in 2 of them. He wasn't in next Friday either. Next Friday was
Oh, really?
Next Friday was Mike Epps.
Oh,
Day-Day.
so you got to go original with fucking.
Nah. Day-Day. Nah, you
next
got
Friday
next
was
Friday.
I don't even.
Next Friday's my shit, son. You're not gonna sway me on this one. Next Friday is my shit.
I gotta rewatch it. Then. Which one was? It was like, the first one was just like, you got knocked the fuck out.
That's the first one. That's the one that, honestly, in my experience, I'd love to see like a bigger poll on this. Like anybody would do a poll on this, but in my experience, it's like 50-50. Where when I say I like Next Friday better than Original Friday, 50% of people will be like, yeah, I'm actually with you on that. But the other 50 was like, nah, fuck no, that's fucked up. How dare you say that? I'm revoking your black card. That actually.
Blue Streak's another one with Martin Lawrence.
What's that?
Blue Streak, where he's.
Blue Streak, yeah. Do you watch the Bad Boys religiously or no? Like, Bad Boys 2?
No, I don't even think I've seen like the whole shit.
Have you?
The one with Will Smith, I see parts of, and it just looks dope. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch this all one day, and I just never do.
The Bad Boys 2, I've seen maybe 2 times, like when it came, or maybe even 3 times, where I was like, I'm gonna watch this, but it hasn't reached the pinnacle yet, where like every time it's on, I watch it.
Yeah, that's how I am. You know what you got to see though? I just saw yesterday. Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal, the boxing movie.
Is it hot?
Shit was good. I
was gonna ask you. I never saw Wolf of Wall Street. Is that good?
I didn't see that shit either.
I was looking for it. On demand, and they didn't have it yet. And I was like, "What the fuck is this shit, man?" Like that.
Someone turned me off to it and was just like, "It's super long." And when I heard that, I was just like.
But dude, I'm like, my love for Leonardo DiCaprio is only surpassed by my love for Denzel. Like Leo's right behind.
So you got to watch that shit.
Yeah, no, Leo's right behind Denzel, man.
Yeah, so you'll probably love that.
Yeah.
I heard he kills it in that movie too.
Yeah, now I'm gonna check again if it's on, but it's definitely not.
And
on
I just
yet.
heard it's about women and like there's drugs and just him like banging women in it, and that's like all it was.
I like all that stuff, but I don't like Wall Street. But I don't know do they portray his character in a positive light or a negative light? I wonder.
I don't know.
You know? Like I'll be interested to check that out. So, all right, I think we're all set here, man. We're
Is there?
You got something going? You going away next week again for like the 800th time or no?
Nah, I think I'm here next week.
Okay, so we'll figure out. I don't want to promise everybody now and then we don't do it next week, but I'm gonna tell everybody right now, 50-50. If we do it next week, just keep it at 50. Flip a fucking coin, all right, son? Like if
Go
you're
51-49. Give him a little hope. If they even care.
50.5 to 49.5 is what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
So keep a coin near you, flip it during the week, and see what that shit says. Heads we
And then turn into Two-Face and fucking start killing people.
Heads we do it, tails we don't do it. We'll see. But if we don't do it next week, we'll definitely do one within the next 2 or 3. So, love you guys. Kisses, smooshes, much love. We'll see you soon. Mwah.